Hey there! Today we're going to have a look at this pen. Fascinating pen. This is made by Böker, the knife company from Germany. This is a tactical pen. There was a time I was kind of into that stuff and I've outgrown it. But what I will say is I saw the pen, I kind of liked it. I got a very good deal. It was something like 40-45% off. I thought actually it looks kind of neat. It's a tactical pen. That means it has a glass breaker and it's not for everyone. I get it. But it's made of titanium. It's a nice pen. I was quite fascinated by it. So I got one and I'm going to review it now. So I'm going to cover the parts of the pen. I will not do a glass breaking demonstration. I will do a writing demonstration and I'll tell you what I like about it and what I don't like about it. Let's get started. Alright, here we go with the tactical pen by Böker, the tactical fountain pen, in fact. I do have the feeling, if I remember correctly, that they also make tactical ballpoints, by the way. But this is not one. Here's the pen. Let me just show you the box. It's a simple box, Böker Plus. It says it has a magnetic closure and then out comes some stuff. The pen, I'm just putting it in so you can see, it fits in the box very nicely, along with a cartridge. That was a cartridge I've seen in a lot of Chinese pens, a little bit longer than standard international short, and with, in my mind, a slightly wider nipple. Then we have, it's just the pen condom that came in, and then there is a little pamphlet. See, I knew they made tactical ballpoints. There's one, and then some other information and lifelong warranty and all that kind of stuff. Böker, in case you're interested, if I'm not mistaken, they're in Solingen, which is a city in Germany that has made swords for an incredibly long time. So they really have a knife culture, if you find that interesting. Here's the same pamphlet, but now in English. Okay, then we have the pen. I'm just going to put it. No, it doesn't matter. This one doesn't roll anyway, does it? It's a big pen. So I'll show it to you here next to a Pilot Metropolitan. Fairly girthy, not excessively so, and fairly long. So let's look at the parts of the pen. On top, this finial, I'm sorry, that was not even on camera, was it? It has the Böker logo, which I think is quite nice. It was the same thing that was on the box. So we have that. We have this hole, which is so that you can put the pen on a lanyard. Then we have the clip with a little bit cut out to save weight, I'm assuming. Interesting shape, works very well. Nice and tight, but very usable. And because of this, what do you call that, U shape, it slides into pen cases very easily. Overall, a nice fluted design with these grooves. Now I know that some of you are going to say, oh, the grooves don't line up. I know, you can loosen it a little bit, and then they actually do. There's an O-ring in there. I'll come back to that. It's all titanium. Then on this end we have a glass breaker. I haven't tried it and I'm not going to demonstrate it. When I got this pen, I could not get the cap off. I thought, wow, I do not understand how this is so incredibly tight. But it turns out it actually has reverse threads. So the cap is fine, that's normal. But then the section I could not unscrew, but that has reverse threads. You actually turn that the other way than you usually would. O-ring, you can see there's already some wear on the O-ring down there. Yeah, it's scraping against metal. Not the greatest design. I'm probably going to take that off and see if it stays closed. Converter. It does not come with the pen. This is a converter I took from a Chinese pen. Works very well, fits perfectly fine, no problems. Now, see, I just started to screw this and nothing happened because it's the other way around. You turn this left to tighten it. Very interesting. Now, the true fountain pen aficionados have already seen this nib, haven't they? What is that? It's obviously a Lamy Safari nib. So I'm assuming these nibs are made by Lamy. I haven't actually checked that, but I'm assuming they're made by Lamy because that definitely looks like a Lamy nib. There are some Chinese companies now that make that exact same nib, but I'm pretty sure, given it's a German company, this was made in Germany as well. Looks like the Lamy style feed as well, that smooth feed. So there you have it. Large pen, does not post, but it's quite cool. So let's see if we can make it right. I'm going to zoom in a bit, give you a nice close-up. Here we have the... Took me a second because I was about to write Schrade, because I reviewed a Schrade tactical fountain pen many years ago. The Böker Plus, this is the tactical fountain pen. It is a fine steel nib, and the ink is, what is it? Platinum carbon black. Very nice, intense black. The nib, for a smooth nib, I would say, is pretty smooth. I've also found it to be a pretty reliable writer. It is not the world's wettest writer. So maybe don't expect that. And for the record, fountain pen people would probably want to pick their nib grade, so fine, medium, broad. These only come in fine, but it's kind of like a tactical crowd pen, so it's a little different. It's not. I think this focuses more on the tactical world than on the true fountain pen world, but that's perfectly fine. Line variation. Looks like a fairly round nib, not really stubby or italic. As you can see, always very careful, but you can squeeze out a bit of line variation if you absolutely must, but be very careful. It's not advertised as a flex nib. Reverse writing, for those who enjoy such a thing, is possible. You already start off with a fairly fine nib. I don't know what the true goal of that would be, but maybe if you upgrade, oops, that was me, I think I misaligned it. If you upgrade it to a broader nib, you might want to try that if you like the upside down writing stuff. It's a pretty neat pen. Let's talk about likes and dislikes. What do I like? What do I not like about this particular pen? Well, there are a couple of things I really like about it. There also are some things that I'm not super enamored by. Overall, I like the looks. Yeah, it's a little different, and I know there's a massive tactical community out there and people love carrying this kind of stuff, and usually the tactical pens are ballpoints. There are some fountain pens. I reviewed the Schrade tactical fountain pen many years ago, but often it's ballpoint, so it's nice to have a fountain pen option. I have no illusions. I'm never going to need the glass breaker in it, but I just thought it was neat because it looked different, and at this point I like it when pens are not yet another black cigar shaped pen with gold trims. Not that there's anything wrong with that either, I'm just saying something a little different, so I like that. The titanium I like titanium as a material. I like the feel of it. I like how solid it is. It has a nice weight to it without being excessively heavy, like say a brass or a copper would be even worse. It doesn't have that, so it has a nice solid heft to it, but it's not too heavy. I really like, as I said, kind of the fact that it's a fountain pen, because all of these types of pens are ballpoints. I like the nib. It's a pleasant nib, and it's really neat that it's a Lamy nib. I also think it's clever. Lamys in Germany, Bökers in Germany collaborate, right? Work with each other. The advantage of a Lamy nib is that Lamy nibs, especially the steel nibs, are really not that expensive, and you can buy a whole range: extra fine, fine, medium, broad, even 1.1, 1.5, 1.9, I think, millimeter italics. The last three can be a little harder to get, but you can get those extra fine through broad in steel. They're not super expensive. You can have a whole lineup, and you can even buy gold nibs that fit this. They obviously would be more expensive. If you don't like the fine nib that came with it, you can find Lamy replacement nibs, fairly ubiquitous. Goulet used to sell them. I'm assuming they still do. So in the US it's easy. Europe is quite easy. A couple of suppliers like Appelboom. So that's easy too. You can very easily replace that, and it's not one of those cases where the pen is $100 and the replacement nib is $300, which I've seen happen. It's very strange. They're not gold, but you get what I mean. Things I don't like so much. I would love to see a converter included. I also think it's interesting that they say it fits both Parker and Lamy cartridges. I always thought Lamy was kind of proprietary, but I guess I should just try. I do have some pocket cartridges. I should have tried it. Anyway, doesn't matter. I had a converter lying around from a Chinese pen, which is a little Lamy-esque in style because it has that flat turning knob. Fits perfectly, no issues. But if you want to use the pen with bottle ink, you'll have to get a converter somewhere. I think the price, $164.95 US, I think for that price you fountain pen people would expect to have a converter included. But I guess this is aimed at a specific sort of Venn diagram market, maybe more towards the tactical community, and that's great too, but maybe they just want to use cartridges. However, the cartridge that came with it was a type of cartridge that I've seen with a lot of Chinese pens. Definitely not Parker, definitely not Lamy. So just interesting. Other things I don't particularly like, a lot of O-rings. Well, I mean a lot of O-rings, two O-rings. But O-rings with metal going across it, I don't know how great that is. And I get the feeling I already see a bit of wear and tear on it. I definitely see wear and tear on it. So I'm not sure how great a choice that was. I think I'm just going to see what happens if I just take off that O-ring and see if it still stays screwed in place. The reverse threads are quite something. It's weird to open and close a pen a different way than you're used to. But anyway, so the O-rings I don't like so much. I fear they will wear out, and then you can buy replacement O-rings, but usually not a great design feature. Final thing is, I really feel that this is a pen that looks like it would post, but it really doesn't. It's completely loose, and I guess that covers up the cool glass breaker. But having said that, doesn't this look like something that would post? But it really doesn't. So not a huge deal, because if it would post, especially because it doesn't post very deeply, it would be a very, very large pen. Just be aware of it. You can't post it. It's not necessarily a huge issue. The price, I wouldn't pay full price for this, but given, like I said, I think it was a 40% discount. That knocked off a substantial chunk, and I felt comfortable with what I paid. For a fun pen, I'll probably get a broad Lamy nib for it at some point. When I say get, I really mean Con Joost Appelboom on one. But anyway, but that I think would elevate it a little bit. The fine nib is smooth enough, but I would like that for my personal writing. Overall, it's a cool pen. If you like tactical stuff, this is for you. It's a fountain pen. It's neat. Can use bottled ink if you can find a converter that fits, but even with cartridges, it's fine. You can put it on a lanyard. You can do neck carry. It won't accidentally unscrew because of those O-rings. I will say that is a benefit of them. Pretty cool. I think it's neat. One thing I wanted to say that I completely forgot. The fluted design, those grooves, I'm not a huge fan of. It looks really cool, but I wish they had not put them on the section, because however I hold this, I always feel grooves somewhere. I can sort of make my fingers align so my fingers aren't on them, but when they're in the grooves, I don't find it super comfortable, and that is a big thing. So I'm sorry I nearly left that out. But that I think is a bigger issue. I don't find it the most comfortable pen, but hold it lightly. No death grip. If you hold it lightly, you feel the grooves less. So there we are. Pros and cons. Cool piece if you like such a thing. If you like titanium, I know that, again, this is, for me, this is kind of like a triple Venn diagram. There is the people who love titanium, they're the tactical people, and there's the fountain pen people, and there is a sweet spot of overlap in the middle. Depending on how many of those circles you feel apply to you, this might be great for you. Solid piece, must say that. Very solid pen. So there we go. I hope this was useful, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye.